All right, we'll go ahead and do a soft start. This is welcome to our last webinar of the year. Happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas coming up. I just wanted to take a little bit of time instead of introducing a whole bunch of new stuff, although I'm probably going to introduce some new stuff anyway. The main thing we want to do is look back across the year and kind of highlight a few items that we've been working on and completed for everybody out there and just kind of show what we do a little bit more inside the building, is our building, if you will, for our customers out there. And thank a lot of you because a lot of what we do as far as creating new features and just simply making Oasis what it is really requires our users. I mean, the feedback is amazing and it really helps, even when you're a little cranky, and that does happen pretty often. But that is important for us to get that feedback, even if it's not at a good time, just so we can improve and continue to move stuff forward. So anyway, with that, William is listening or watching the chat. So if you have questions, simply pop a note over there. This is really for you. And he'll kind of monitor that and interrupt me if there's something that's kind of important there. But main thing is ask questions and let's see if we can show you what we've been working on. And then after the first year, show you some more new stuff. All right, so this is it. A little bit of a item here. So a little bit of our agenda is Oasis 1, a little bit of what happened there if you missed all that. Large language model integration, if you missed that. Folio. There's more and more happening over there all the time. System updates, there's a lot of system updates, and I will barely scratch the surface on that. I will simply say if you get the newsletter, if you don't get the newsletter, send support a note, and we can get you on the newsletter pretty easily. Inside the newsletter, usually at the bottom, I think it is, they have release notes, and we try to keep up with the more user-facing changes. We're always making all kinds of changes in the background, basically what we have. But I want to expose a little bit of what's going on there. And then the support and maintenance, what we do in that area for our customers day in, day out. It's important to show you what we do in there and make sure that you know you can call us and get problems or ideas, put in our dev queue or just simply ask questions out there. And then just real quick, what's next out there? All right. So, Oasis Online. Best way to explain it is we every time I start talking about Oasis Online, everyone's like, "Well, but it doesn't do what Oasis does on the desktop." Uh, well, that's getting less and less true every day. So basically, we have a major competitor, and it's us out there, in that we just do everything and have been working on this system for over 20 years now, and continue to add what we find or what we hope is important features and just general subsystem for the community out there. But the Oasis desktop has 20 years of feedback. And the main thing that I want to hint here as I start talking about online is really what I started the conversation with. And that is your feedback is what makes the system great. So over 20 years of feedback on the desktop, it has really been looked at in a whole bunch of different ways, business model ways, bugs obviously is going to pop up. And that feedback really makes that system very robust, and we fully support it. We'll continue to support it for 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 as long as I know of, anyway. So for the foreseeable future, I guess the best way to explain that. But the Oasis Online, we've completed most of it, and basically the quotes, it's full featured, and over the last 3 years, especially this year, we've had a few, at least two people I'm aware of that had a local database failure for various reasons. And when they do that, they're able to use their Oasis Online to immediately just go to the browser and pick up where they left off. With that, we've had to scale up servers. We've learned how to do that a lot better, and we found a few issues with the quotes we've resolved as well. But over the last 3 years, we've really got the quotes system online working real well. With that knowledge, we've completed this year orders, invoices, and payments. Those are complete. And again, the feedback on there, I see that go back and forth in our case meeting. We'll talk about that a little later. And the feedback is really keeping us moving those systems into just more and more robustness. And best way to explain that. There are lots of complex features, and this is probably the main reason why Oasis is the way it is. And I'll get into a little bit of these complex features later. Is if it was just a spreadsheet, you wouldn't care. It's all the other stuff that we do behind the scenes and some of the subtle little details, and that is what we get a lot of feedback on, and that's exactly what we like to do. Really, it makes the system do more work for you, and on that, it requires a little bit of some setup, or it definitely requires us to understand how it works and build these complex systems. Anyway, I talked a little bit about the rapid scale up. We're getting better at that. So if a customer goes from one user playing to 100 users using the system, we have to sometimes tweak our servers over there because we're not expecting that demand all of a sudden, depending upon how everything's set up. But we're getting really good at being able to move processors around and some other stuff there. So yeah, I'm trying not to get technical on that one. And more features we're optimizing. Regardless, those are fully supported. Really, the only thing that's not on the list that I think is super important is some of the core reports. Now, I say that to some people, it's like, but it does all the reports already with the tiles. And well, tiles are tiles, but especially when you get into the admin section, a lot of our customers, you need to be able to run an invoice report or a backlog report and see what's going on. And right now, you can use a lot of the report generators are in there, but you can't set one up using the online, and that's going to come next year. So that'll pretty much complete the online version of Oasis. Okay.
We have a question, Brian. Is the Oasis Online actually usable? And if so, when did this go live?
So it has been usable for a while for some of our customers. The gotcha is, I'd want to know this group here that's asking the question. For our heavy users, so we have users just want to do a basic quote, a little bit of orders, invoices, and payments. We're probably there. Okay, it's quote usable. Where we get into issues with some of our customers is they go in and they look for the feature they use day in, day out, and it's not there, or it's not optimized. And that's what I'm talking about here is all that feedback has really made the desktop version just super dependable, and little things that you expect to be there just are right in the right place. That's mostly there for the desktop or the online version. And what I have to say is for our light users, they'll probably say, "Hey, this works. I'm good." For our heavy users, and there's a lot of you out there, you're probably going to say, okay, this part's good, like quotes is probably ready to go, and the orders are probably close, but invoices and payments may not be quite there. So I hate to kind of be soft on that one, but it's really user feedback that we thrive on, and with that feedback, is making me more and more confident to say yes, it's ready to go. But I'm going to have a few people say, but there's that one feature right there, reports as it may be, that'll say no. So I hope I answered that completely. And if not, just pop William another note. Any other questions there? Okay. So Oasis Desktop. And this is part of the Oasis One webinar. By the way, all the webinars are online if you want to go back and look at this. And I'm kind of the responsible for this. I was thinking back during the pandemic that the desktop version was going to go away. And I had a series of our customers said, you better not, because the desktop version, especially when you have a large office and the speed is just so great inside the building, that it's going to be hard to beat when you go over the internet. And anyway, I've had several of those conversations with several owners of companies, and it convinced me that the desktop version is going to continue for the foreseeable future, probably permanently, because I'm seeing that with some other apps. Microsoft suite of apps seem to be kind of following that suit as well. But we have a refreshed look, and if you have used Oasis here recently, you've probably noticed some of the colors have changed, and as you're bouncing between the icons, they've changed as well. And that's part of what we're trying to do is just the basic look of it right now, and we'll continue to update that. And really, what we're trying to do is make the two systems look a little bit similar. They're not going to be exactly the same because they're intended to operate differently. A browser just works differently than a desktop app. So they'll be close to allow that transition if you're using both of them. But anyway, we continue to update that part of the system, and lots of features too. I'll talk about a few of them. Actually, one of the biggest areas that we've done in addition to this is the home screen in the desktop version, and I want to go back and adjust this more. But there's a lot of behind the scenes just code that was getting old and sticky and everything like that. That was cleaned up to make it just work better. A lot of the searches work better, the buttons work better. Just a lot of little details in there. But that goes to the commitment that we have for the desktop version. Just to go in there and take that little extra time, a little extra effort to clean it up, make it work a little bit better. And then there's a lot of stuff that the UI UX people want to do. I've kind of held them back a little bit, but that will probably happen as well as we go through this. Is really modernize it is probably the best way to explain that. Okay. And let me see. Probably the biggest thing that's going to happen next year, I think, on the desktop version is we will be moving to a different database engine. That was actually covered in the other webinar, but just another heads up. It isn't like you have to switch immediately, but the main thing is Sybase is discontinuing that database engine that we use. Actually, they're owned by SAP, and for that reason, we're actually moving to Postgres, and that's a we've been using that actually for a while now, just testing it out, making sure it works correctly. I've been using it on my desktop for all kinds of stuff associated with Oasis, and that's where we're moving. One of the things that I'm starting to like about it is it looks like we can go past what we call the 2 terabyte limit. Inside Sybase, what we found is once you get near 2 terabytes, the database really becomes unstable. So we just simply don't support it past that limit. But the big thing with Postgres is it seems to be more stable. And that's probably the main thing that I want to hint about, whether it's desktop or online. What we're always looking for is how does it fail? How can we support it once we get it to, basically on an unstable server or a lot of data in or whatever the scenario is that you all run into. We want to be able to support that. So we want to know how this thing fails, and we're pretty far downstream on it. But you will see us starting to move people as they are challenged, large databases or new servers or whatever, to this new database engine. And anyway, our whole reason for doing that really is to make sure we support you and support you the best way we can. We will continue for those of you that use SQL Server. Again, if you do that on your own, that'll be fine as well. But the Postgres we will support in-house, and then for the folks using SQL Server, that again we really want you to have your own team to manage the server and the database engine because it's just more complex. Okay, now here's a new one. I said I wasn't going to talk about new stuff, but this is in beta already. We have vertical markets in orders. Some of you are probably like, yeah, whatever. But it's kind of exciting. I wouldn't say kind of, it's actually very exciting for some of our customers who've been wanting this for a while. But this is just a basic resale order. It could be with a commission order, it doesn't matter. And there is a bug right now that's in beta. We evidently hid the order type drop down, but notice we have vertical market in here as well. The key here is now we can start running reports and tying more features to the order vertical market, and it is copied from the project initially, by the way. But if you have, just another order you're putting in the system without a project, you can flag it with the appropriate vertical market, and that will show in your various reports. And by the way, that does show on Moser 2 right now, and other reports will happen as well. So really neat and exciting feature. And we did that. We're trying to get that in before the end of the year. I guess technically we did, but I was hoping sooner. But there's actually a whole bunch of new reporting features we're going to put alongside that I'm hoping will really help, especially agency owners and outside salespeople, kind of understand what's being purchased and who's doing it. More on that as we go. All right. And so that's vertical market. It'll be beta online. Right now, it's just in the desktop version. And it will eventually go there sometime in 26. I'm hoping kind of early, but we'll see how that works out. There are hundreds of other updates based on user feedback. I'll talk about how that works here a little bit later. But again, take a look at your release notes. There's just a lot of details in there, and a good chunk of those are on the desktop version of Oasis. So, all right. All right, Oasis 1 went through a good chunk of this, similar UI, UX. There's actually a thing called the Global Lock Manager that actually is being tested right now. And the whole goal is if you're in a project online and you try to access it from the desktop version, it will tell you, no, Bob's in it on the online version. And anyway, that's being tested now. That will roll out in production here probably after the first of the year, and it'll actually move into the orders and invoices part as well. So global search. Do we have any questions we want to go through or?
Yes, we just got one in. Um, does the vertical market field on the general tab in the project automatically populate to the vertical market field on the order when an order is converted from a quote?
Yes, it does. And you can change it. I don't know why you would, but if you identify a project as being, a commercial office or something like that, as you create the orders, whether they're resale or commissioned, they will actually go down to those orders and automatically. So you don't have to think about redoing it as you go along. So good question. Another area, so we talk about global lock manager, that is really with a lot of our customers who are using the online version of Oasis right now, they're actually doing what we call a hybrid implementation. That is, they'll have people that are remote or outside the office use the online version of Oasis. And then the desktop version is used in-house, if you will. The one lack that we didn't have as we rolled this out was that global lock manager, so you can identify who's in the project regardless if they're in the building or online or desktop. That's actually, like I said, being tested now. So that's going to roll out after the first of the year. Okay, it's just anyway, lots of details on that I covered in another webinar. Now, global search is another item that I've been pretty excited about myself. And it's whether you're on the desktop version or the online version, it does not matter. There's a little find button up there. And as you type in webinar or something like that and do a search, it actually searches uh, everything. So it searches the quotes, the orders, the invoices, attachment, PDFs, emails, the whole bit. And it scans the system, and as it finds entries, it pops them here. And the more you put in, it's more of a linguistic type search as well. So it's not what we used to call soft or anything like that. It goes through and starts parsing this out as words, and then anything that has the highest relevance is put to the top, and then it just goes down from there. So keying in more here doesn't get you less, it just gets you theoretically more relevant items. That assumes that you're kind of matching what's in the document that you're trying to grab. That's the only gotcha out there. Sometimes what you remember is on a PDF that's attached to a project, sometimes a little bit different. So you just have to get kind of close, and it usually finds it. So, but anyway, just click on it and you're inside that, whatever it is. In this case, is a project, and off you go. And by the way, order. I'm sorry, this is an order. And more details on that in other webinars there. All right. And let me go back. I'm tempted to go in another direction because some stuff I saw there was good, but I'll skip that for today. All right. We also added in large language model, actually Chat GPT integration. Part of this is what I found is a number of users were having issues copying text from Chat GPT. I've seen it with other applications too, but this one was interesting. And they have a tendency to format things with some funky characters. It's the reason why I noticed it. And it's like, okay, I think we can help people here by simply quickly figuring out what they need and be able to move data between Oasis and ChatGPT and back. So that's implemented now. It is off by default, and you have to have the online version, whether it's I'm sorry, you have to have online whether you're using the desktop version or the online version. That's just part of the access that's required to get out to the servers to process the request. But inside there, so it's off by default. There's a screen and a webinar that shows how to turn it on. In there, you can use it to rewrite quote notes. That's the one area where I saw the user doing this, is they were going into ChatGPT and saying, "Hey, rewrite this rather detailed conversation I'm trying to ask the factory or the customer or whatever it was. I can't remember." And then they're copying and pasting that back into Oasis, and that was causing some headaches. So you can do that directly from within Oasis now, and that's just a little. Let me see if I can go there real quick. Projects. Webinar. Sorry. Find it best to show. And I have one that I've been playing with today. think that's the one. And it has a couple other things I'll show. But under ChatGPT, once you turn it on, you'll see this field. You won't see it by default. But in here, I can rewrite my quote notes. I just put some text in here and it'll rewrite it for you. Now, nothing in there right now. I'm not creative enough to come up with something quick. But basically, to operate them, all you do is click on them. So you can also do any of the features in here. So a market analysis does require a few setups, and this is probably the only one I have time to go over today. Again, the webinar has more details on that. But if you set up your vertical market, that is required. Location is important as well. Cabot, Arkansas, here in Arkansas versus Little Rock are two totally different market. Well, not totally. They're different. Basically, it's more rural than Little Rock, which is more metropolitan. And then how big the area is. So you have to put in your square footage. Okay. With those elements, vertical market, location, don't forget the state on there, or province if you're in Canada, and then square footage. Once those are put in, the bill of material is utilized as well. You can do a market analysis. And it builds the prompt, sends it over to ChatGPT, and does shoot, I can't remember which one it was. Red Ocean analysis on there. I'm sorry, had to think about it, and as soon as it showed up, I remembered. So looks like I need to change some items here, but it does exactly what I was hinting at there. It uses what ChatGPT knows about the market and does its analysis and comes back with the results. And some of this is pretty common between all the markets. There's not huge differences, but it is kind of neat when I try this with some people to see how it varies between different territories. But neat little feature in there. Another thing to play with. And let me go back here. So market analysis using the red ocean analysis on that. Crossovers, it'll do some basic crossovers. I wouldn't say it's super great at it, but it is kind of neat when it does do them. And it suggests alternates. So if you have one product, you can suggest an alternate on that. Projects, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you just simply click on an item and then do the analysis on there. And then you can drag and drop like a PDF into the bill of material and a quote, and it'll pull it in. There's again a lot of details on that one, and we've been getting a lot of feedback on that too, which is really cool. So again, another area we keep improving upon. So all right, any questions off of that? All right, neat stuff. All right, Folio. So Folio released that a couple of years ago and continue to expand that database. But basically, it is basically a pre-highlighted database, and we use our team to do that for a number of reasons. Uh, I'll touch on one of them here in a second, but the main thing is we want a consistent database we can support across all of our users, and we generate the data. And as they go through, they start tracking the product, tracking the sheet, and doing some neat stuff in there that really allows us to follow the catalog number regardless of what you have in there. It's gotten, I'll give you one little backstory on this one. It's getting so precise that we're starting to get feedback from users for what I call write-ins. In other words, parts of the catalog number that might be in a configurator that is associated with the product, but not directly on the cut sheet. So we've been doing a little bit of work with some of our customers on that, and it goes out to everybody once we enhance that for that manufacturer. Now, in addition to that, since we've released it, we have a 14-day refresh. And what we do is we scan the entire database and we identify whether or not there's been any changes to that cut sheet online. And at that point, we'll flag it and actually immediately remove it from your usage. So you won't see it until we actually go through and approve that for your use out there. So again, trying to make sure that's going on there. One of the features we did add, by the way, that I'll get to a little bit later, actually allows Oasis to re-verify that cut sheet online to make sure that it's correct. So I'll get to that a little bit later when we get into submittals. Now, another item that we did add for this that again, we have a lot of our users out there that have these cut sheet libraries that have a lot of write-ins and special instructions and details on their cut sheets learned that way. And we have a feature in Oasis now where you can actually have it scan your cut sheets first. And if they're not out of date and they do exist, we'll use those in submittals over the Folio ones. So neat little feature in there. And if you have any question on how to turn that on, just contact support. It's literally a click in the global settings. Scope is done. We have a little over 250,000 products. We're actually processing everything on them. So we're trying to find the color temp and everything else that's on that product and building that database. That's inside the scope database. And if you haven't played with scope, I'll just do that online real quick. Go to, let me see. Not seeing the one there. Sorry, I'm still old school on the search here. And into year. So on the scope, I had a catalog number. I couldn't remember what it was real quick. This one is just a fake one that I set up. I set it up in both the folio system and inside of this database. And the whole thing with scope, I can't show you select, by the way, that's next year. So scope, it'll actually go out, it'll grab that product out of the database and give me more details on it. So it looks like it looks like, well, this one doesn't have much anything on there. It usually just has a little bit of an image here. Again, this one's fake. You go to the manufacturer's site, which will show me more information there. And then it looks like they're already playing with some details here. That's kind of neat. So it's actually showing the quote details here. And if so let me back up a step. It'll show color temp, which again, this is a fake item. So there's no color temps, there's no mounting or anything like that. But I do have some quote details on here. So it's identifying the quote and the order paths, if you will, inside of Oasis. So I see my pricing in there. Should have a dollar sign on it. That's kind of interesting. And it'll also, if it has the ability to show lead time and everything else. What we're trying to do here is the Oasis information is going to come from your database. So whether it's pricing you've gotten from the factory, or if it's some of our machine learning that's going through and identifying what your lead time is, it'll show here as well. And it'll show all the other details we've identified for that product as well. We're really just trying to scope or identify all the information about that product so you can make a decision. And that's just trying to pull it together so you don't have to jump around and look for all these details. So apologize, this is a fake item. I really wanted to show a real one because it looks much better with a lot more interesting details. But I make people mad when I don't pick their product. So, all right. Scope, that's the main thing is merging our product data with your Oasis information. And by the way, your Oasis information stays in your system. We don't pull it somewhere else. That's a big time no-no around here. So it's only for your company to see. All right. Do we have any questions? Otherwise, I'll go to the next one. All right. So system updates, we're always doing system updates. I could go on for hours on all the different changes we're doing. So I just picked a handful just to fit on one slide. That's my main thing here is just not to get too carried away here. But one of the biggies we really wanted on the online version of quotes is the ability to go through and do preferences the old style way. So you still have the ability to go and do the add here. So if you know what I'm talking about there as far as adding or doing preferences inside the quote, we're going to keep that at least for a little while longer, see if anybody continues using it. But we can still go to File and Preferences. So this is old school way. You can move stuff up and down. You can add columns in because again, what we're trying to do inside of Oasis is make sure that you use the system the way you want to. Everyone kind of does the same thing. You're quoting a bill of material, trying to get everything put together for a job, but everyone goes to market a little bit different. And even within the building, sometimes a main quoter might be doing something different than somebody just trying to come up with pricing for customers one off. So there, again, different parts in there, and you may want your preferences to be different. So again, we support this as before, including we save that preference with the bill of material on the job. So if you're covering for the main quoter that has like 4 columns of pricing, whatever, you'll see exactly what he or she saw when they went on vacation, and you can follow up and not make a mistake as you help the customers when they're gone. So that's quote preferences. Finally, I've been wanting that one for a while. Charge line. So what happened mid-year? Uh, we had more and more people contact us and say, "Well, how should we handle the tariffs?" And we didn't know, to be quite honest. So we had to work with a number of you just trying to come up with an idea that made sense. And again, there's a big video on this that has all the details, but I'll show you just super quick. And that is, if you go into a project, you can actually start and create a charge on here. Let me go to the let me go to the desktop version because I have the right project open here. But it looks like this is a charge line is what I'm talking about. And how did it get here? So what we're trying to do is identify for the actually just for this one brand that happens to be affected by the tariffs. I want to throw a 30% tariff on there and have it calculate that for me. So just as quick as I can, let me go and get rid of this and add it back in just so it can show how it works. And then again, there's more detail if you want to more information on that, contact support or look for the video. But if I go under tools, there's a charge manager. And by the way, it doesn't have to be just tariffs. I mean, the same thing would work with if you had like a freight item on there. And I've seen a few other scenarios where you just get hit with a blanket charge for the product. And again, that's probably more wire and conduit than anything else. But I do see that periodically. Some poll scenarios work out that way. So what I'll do is I'll simply click on here and say, hey, that's going to affect this one brand right here. So it locks in on that one brand, or I can just manually select rows. Notice it selected the rows back here automatically when I selected RV. That's the two items there. Or I could do it across the entire bill of material. And then put in a fixture type. And really the only reason for the fixture type is to give us a little bit of a label for what we have going on here. So I'll say, tariff, and I had 30%. Let me just do 25 just to say it's different. And it's based on the sell price or the net price. Again, it depends upon what you're working here. If you're importing and then doing a resale, you might want to hit that on the net. Ask questions you have them support because we've got a lot of questions on tariffs this year. But I'll hit update, and sure enough, it pulled a tariff in here, and I don't have my brain isn't good enough today to go through the math on this, but or it didn't set up well enough to do that. But it's supposed to take the value of these two lines, hit 25% on it, and then just add that in as a line item down at the bottom. So, and again, it carried RV or that one brand on here because I specified that one brand. And if it's across the entire bill of material, obviously that would not apply. So anyway, if you have more questions on tariffs, definitely ask. That's been a hot topic this year. All right, I think it's mostly sorted out from everybody, but anyway. All right, submittals. We do have a PDF auto verify each time the editor is opened. Let me see if I can just pull one up. I don't know if I'll find one real quick. Sure. Submittals. And I have this one here. So when you're inside of I knew this one wouldn't be I knew this would be an easy one to go through. So one cut sheet to identify folio and folios automatic highlight these cut sheets for your humans. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine. And what's going on here? And sure, my system's going bonkers. It's not showing everything. Sure enough, that's what it goes. Well, other than the fact my system's running some code, demo code here that's not working too great. What you'll see on the top right-hand corner of your screen is www on there. And what people will notice is it'll either be just black text, which means it doesn't know anything is going on. It can't verify the PDF, or it'll be red or green. Green basically means that it's actually able to go out and get the URL. That's interesting. It'll actually go grab the URL, go out to the website where the factory has that PDF, and compare the two. If there's no difference, it'll turn that www text green. If it identifies that there's a difference, then it'll turn it red, saying there's a difference between what you're looking at and what's on the screen there. And anyway, it works well on that. And again, it's just another way of verifying that you have the most accurate or most current cut sheet from the manufacturer. So, all right, now that's there. Uh, By the way, I've skipped some of this. There's been with the quote section alone, this is mostly desktop. There's been 110 changes to the system. Again, look at the release notes. Most of those will be in there. In submittals alone, we have over 20 changes. That's probably was the reason why that screen's reading wrong. It's probably one of them I didn't get. But long story short, is there's been 20 changes just to the submittals section this year. And then orders, we talked about the vertical market, and there's actually a whole bunch more I wanted to talk through, but I just put that one on there to call it good for today. There's been over 160 other changes we've done to the system in there. That's based upon our analytics that we keep in the background there. Okay, that takes care of those. Support and maintenance. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking through a few other details here. With our support, We actually had a scenario, an interesting scenario. We actually had one of our vendors, it's actually our phone system, call one of our employees, and they started asking them a whole bunch of questions. And what they were wondering is why our answer rate is so high. And so when you call, most of the time somebody's going to pick up the phone and answer it and try to get you an answer then. If not, there's processes we have that we work through to make sure we get you a follow-up on that as quickly as we can. But they couldn't understand why a company our size, with the volume we have, had such a high answer rate. And they really what they're trying to get to is which one of our tools are you using to make that happen? Well, we couldn't answer on that because we're actually using other tools that aren't theirs to kind of manage the processes behind the scenes. So more on that if you're super interested. But main thing is we turn cases rapidly, and that is getting attention by others that kind of follow us in similar markets, which is kind of interesting. I haven't had that happen before. So some stats. We had 16,000 tickets we've resolved this year alone. 11,000 calls that's in and out of the building this year. We take about 74 minutes to close a case. Now, some of you are probably like, yeah, but my case has taken 3 months. Well, some of them are hard, but on average, we take about 74 minutes to close a case, and we really try to get people what they need, especially if it's a database, what we call if a customer can't do work, that's the highest level, and we stop and do everything we can to get you back up and working. If it's a nice idea for a feature we could do, later we put it on a list and in their process to get that done as quickly as we can there. We have a 95% satisfaction score. Some people love looking at all that stuff. I consider it, yeah, that's good, but we could do better. So 95%, but I'm looking for 96 or 100%. So details there, maintenance. The other thing that I want to kind of go over there is we track and resolve system questions, difficult how-tos. That's just ongoing as we go. And we continuously fix and enhance the system, both online and desktop, all the time through user feedback. Said that multiple times today. And a little bit of a behind the scenes thing that's going on, I wanted to identify as really this last thing in small text there. So every day at 2 p.m. we come together as a group. So this is the developers and the support staff. And our main thing is if there's a support question out there or a customer that's having an issue that is bubbled up, basically somebody can't get work done. We get everybody involved that could have an answer to that solution, and that's one reason why we do as well as we can on this. Is that's the folks we have is really supporting you and making sure that if you're having issues that we can solve that as quick as we can. And that's true for not only what I call issues, but if you just have a question that's hard to answer, a complex report you're trying to get done for India, that's actually happening a lot right now. Then at 2 p.m. we'll come through and brainstorm a little bit and find out, well, what's the best answer for what the person's asking for at this time. And then there's a lot of suggestions we get. The charge line was a good example of that. It just started as some questions, and then a couple of suggestions, and then we started asking people follow-up questions on that, and it turned into a development item, and we rolled it out as quickly as we could. So that's a little bit what happens behind the scenes. Don't really have a chance to talk about that too much, but really wanted to present that a little bit here so everyone see a little bit of what's going on. And believe me, there's a lot of you and a small number of us, but that is how we manage it all because there's a lot of really good stuff we see feedback on, and it's some work. All right. And okay, so what's next? So Oasis One, Global Lock Manager, I've already talked about that a little bit. That's important to us, especially for people that are going to run hybrid. I think we're going to see more and more people that will want to gravitate to the browser version of Oasis, and that'll be pretty easy. But as I was hinting at before, we're seeing a number of folks that also want to stay on with the desktop version for some good reasons. Some I'm not so sure about, but that's okay. I don't have to agree. But the main thing is the hybrid environment allows you to do both. Okay. There's more tiles coming. One of the big ones is Age Customer Invoice tile. This is going to hit the resale side first. Hint, hint, we're going to do the commission side too. But the main thing is I'm excited about it because it's a new generation of tiles that we're actually going to go through and reinvent. And you'll notice that it'll look better and because the UI attention is a little different. And there's a lot of other features we've just simply learned how to do better over time. So look for more and more tiles over the next year or so. And again, the whole thing is really just make nice features to roll out to everybody. Folio, the data that we have in scope right now is growing. I mean, daily we're adding hundreds, if not thousands, of new products, and it's just fun to watch that thing and all the automation run. But that you don't care about. The bigger question is, can you get to the data and does it apply to what you wanted, what you need? And again, we're getting feedback from individuals on that to make it go. Now, the biggie is going to be Folio Select. We're pretty excited about that one because it does a lot of different things that I can't tell you about yet. But the main thing is it'll continue the Folio suite, and it's probably going to take a couple of webinars to explain all the details that are going on in there. It's pretty easy to use, but the subtlety on what's happening in the background is what I want everyone to understand. Simply because I think it's important for people to understand when we're showing you something, what it means, when it's useful, and when you really have to pay attention and say, okay, well, I need to dig a little deeper or ask another question, if you will. Okay. And then SpecSeek, for those of you using SpecSeek, we have a newer, faster search engine. It's going to be more AI based. I'm supposed to say all that nifty stuff, but basically it's more linguistic searches and just more data in there as well. Right? And then the whole UI is going to change. But there's a much more that we have going on this coming year. Just more features, more stability, if you will, on a lot of items out there, and a whole bunch of new systems we're looking at bringing online too. So it's just one thing after another. We just simply don't stop developing Oasis because it's what we do, and that's how we support you as we go forward. All right, that's all I have for today. Any other questions?
There are none in the chat.
Okay. Well, I'll hold steady. If I don't have a chance to talk to any of y'all, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. If you have questions, give us a call. As I usually say, we'll be here. Thanks.